Okay, to get this cover off, you take, once you get all these other bolts off, there are two. You got to take those off to get this cover off. So there you go. And the bolts are right there. That's what they look like. Now I'm going to remove these. These two. I cannot get this intake manifold off for the life of me. It just ain't. I have no idea what the heck. So there you go. So those are actually nuts, and here they are, right here. Boom. Okay, so I finally got this off, and there is this one hose coming right out here that I gotta take off, and that's it. So here's the clamp right here, and that's how it enters the manifold underneath. Okay, so I wanted to document this because I couldn't really find any good photos of this online. So this is my intake manifold. So this is from the perspective of if you're standing in front of your car looking at the engine. So this is the driver's side, passenger side. You've got this one, this one, this one. Here, this is the one that was messing me up, this one. But wait, there's more. 2 behind here, 5 up top, and these 2 on the side right here. And then just to turn it around, this is what it looks like. So I'm going to clean this up, but there you go. Okay, I want to depressurize this line. Here is the quick connect right here, and there's very few videos out there to help with this. So there you go. Okay, so just to document this quick connect here, how I did this was, turn it out a bit. So I actually, it goes on like this. I don't have it fully seated on there, but what I did was I put on this side, the side where the hose is, the rubber hose, I started to pull up and go like that. And that is what it looks like. This is what it looks like on the inside. It's just a cover. So you want to pull where my index finger is. Just gently pull up on that side, and there you go. And that leads us to the next part of it. It's much easier if I remove this connector here. So there it is going down. I just named this connector A. By the way, the quote-unquote duck tape, D-U-C-K, is far better than this trim tape, which I needed. So hopefully it'll make it easier to get this thing off. Whoa, I'm lucky today. So see this kind of pliers? When I clamp down on those blue tabs, this fuel line comes right off. It was very easy. So there you go. Okay, so this fuel line, this is what it looks like. So this is what it looks like here, here. It looks like the same on both sides, and then that's what the connection looks like. Very easy. I was shocked. So I'm going to put some towel on that. I cannot get this fuel rail off to save my life. So I'm going to try to take these clips off. So I just want to document. So 1 second. I took off one, and this is how they seat in there. So this part here is actually on the bottom. So when you pull them out, they go like that. Boom. It worked. I got them out. When I did it that way and just did them one at a time, I was able to get them out with no trouble. So please note, I didn't have to take off this. I didn't have to take off too many things. Once I got the fuel rail off, you just pull up and there you go. It's all right there. So this car actually has really low mileage. So it's January of 2026. And this was P1. This was the one that was bad, quote unquote. And this is what it looks like. I don't know if that's good or bad. I have no idea. But we're going to order some new ones and we'll see where that takes us. So for only having 50,000, it was a 2013, 50,000 miles. I've had it for about a year or two and put 10,000 miles on it. And it all of a sudden started throwing the code for this first cylinder. So it wasn't the spark plug, wasn't the coils, just got replaced already. So the next thing is fuel injectors. So we'll see if it worked. So the plot thickens. I bought one of these fuel injector pulse thingies, and here's the problem. So it has these two connections. The problem is that these connections here are too close together for these. So you can only put one on. So one workaround is I just happen to have these alligator connectors, and all you do is you just hook this on and do it this way. So the only real value of this thing is this. Now, one other problem I'm having is that, and forget about the kind of stuff I'm using. The problem here is oftentimes these hoses come out super easy. So you're kind of like doing 15 different things at once. So you're going to have to figure out, so just know going into it that you're going to have to, even though I bought this kit, you're still not home free because you're going to have issues with the connectors. There's obvious very easy workarounds for this, but it's just something I wasn't planning on. But this thing is really worth it. So there you go. So I have some of these little connectors. So I cut the 9-volt connection off this and clamp this on so it'll fit into this pulsar that I got from Amazon. So hopefully that should work okay. We'll see. And the plot thickens. So we have this meter thing. So I soldered these connections so I can take these little alligator clips and put them on. And so this is the kind of stuff you gotta deal with. So we shall see. Let's see if it works. So it's 2 weeks later. My parts have finally come in. So I made the decision just to buy new injectors because I don't want to go through this hell again. I might do something with rebuilding them in another video, but I just bought them and I bought a new gasket. So that's that piece of it. So if you remember, I mentioned how for these parts, for these little pieces, You really have some words of wisdom. I went on Amazon and they said that they would fit. These do not fit, and they don't fit because this round piece is wider than this. It doesn't look like much, but when you actually put it on the plastic panel, it doesn't fit. So I didn't feel like dealing with that. So I went and I bought from eBay ones that look exactly like it. Now, they say it ships within a day. True, but what they don't tell you is it ships from a different country. And it takes about 3 weeks to get here. So I bought them. And so then I had to go back and buy some from a Honda Direct place, the same one I got the fuel injectors from. So, word to the wise, make sure you pull this thing out correctly, meaning when you push the plastic over, you push this way to get them out. That's the first thing. The second thing is make sure you buy the right ones. And I'm going to put in somehow, I'll put in the video or in the description what the actual part number are for these things. So there you go. So the next part of this for me is to clean the actual manifold. So here's what the manifold looks like. And I know I did a video of this last time, but sometimes a visual can really be a help. So this is what it looks like. So this is from the perspective of sitting in a car. If I'm sitting in the car and looking at the windshield, this will be left, this will be right. So you've got this is where you've got 3 holes here. 1, 2, 3. 3 here, 1, 2, 3. Then these two. You've got these 2 bolts up top. Then you have these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep in mind that this is where the gasket goes. This is the old gasket. The upper take doesn't have a gasket. It fits onto this. So that's how that goes. So now I'm just going to clean this whole thing and we'll take it from there. So here's the old one. So here's how the old one fit on. So you have this white piece right here. So that means that white piece is going to would go right here, like that. So just remember that. So here is the new gasket. So just to show you here what it would look like, that is it. So I'm going to take the old gasket completely off and try to clean that area a little bit and get back to you. As you can see, it is a perfect fit. Well done. So before I go any further, I just wanted to do a quick visual. So sometimes it's helpful. So this is what it looks like when the manifold's off. You've got screws. You screw female here, 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 and then it looks like 2 screws here. Can't tell from here. 1, and then another one right down here. Let me see if I can. I think there was just one there. So there you go. That's what it looks like. I'm going to clean the area around the injectors. Oh, and then don't forget this hose right here. So I'm going to clean the area around the injectors and do all that stuff. And here's the new one. It is on. So it's a little bit wobbly because it hasn't been adhered to anything yet. So there's that piece of it. So there you go. I also wanted to do a quick pick of these. So connectors. That's what it looks like on the other side. There's this thing here. And there's these two little things here for the clips. There you go. From Honda. And so let me get a close up of this. So it's Honda genuine parts. Let me flip it over. I'm going to compare the old one with the new one. So they look to be identical. Blah, blah, blah. So there you go. So I've got these numbered from which piston they were. So this is number 1. So I'm going to put the old one in this one, and maybe in another video I'll try to do a restoration of these. Okay, so I just wanted to do another quick little video here to document this. So I didn't use any kind of grease or anything for these, but when you insert these, notice that the electrical connection is on the other side. So to give you some perspective, here you are, and so they're on the other side. Notice that the clip goes in that way. Notice also how that little indentation on the fuel rail, this little indentation on the fuel rail fits right into that clip. If I were doing this over again, I'd just buy new clips. So one of these was slightly bent. It'll do the job, but they're only like 10 cents. So, and when you fit them in, it doesn't feel like it's going to go in, and you kind of have to go a little back and forth a little bit, and all of a sudden half of it goes in, and then it goes in completely. It fits in. What you want to do is you just want to pull on it a little bit, make sure it's snug and secure. Also insert the electrical connection, and that is something that shouldn't be forced. That should be very easy to go in, and when I pull on it, they won't come out. Pull on it. Pull on it, pull on it, they're not coming out. They're all secure. And then next is to put them in. And so there you go. So that wasn't that hard. Put the fuel rail in. They look like they're seated well. Let me see if I can get a better shot of this one. It's hard to get a shot of. Looks like it's seated well. They went in pretty well. This one, I can see a little bit of the gasket, but then when I started tightening these two bolts, it went on perfectly fine. So I think that's a go. This bolt here, to give you perspective, this bolt here was a pain to get on. So I'm going to show you how I got it on. Harder than you think, because I got to do it for the other one. So this is 12 millimeter. I've got the bolt in for the left one. Notice I put a paper towel inside the socket before I put the bolt in. That's the first thing. The second thing is, underneath the bolt, I've got my magnetic wand, and I'm going to have that under it to catch it in case it comes off. So watch this. So sometimes it's hard to position, but I have my magnet wand down there. And now I'm going to come. Now notice, you always have to have it sit along the radiator, and you just want to keep going until you can kind of feel it. But don't make the mistake of having it at a steep angle. It almost needs to be lateral. See, I can feel it. So you can feel the actual whole thing start to lift up. So now that it's on there, boom. All you have to do is just take that piece of paper towel off, and you can see it right there. See, it's paper towel. And there you go. Do a repeat because I don't want to show my face, because you never know what kind of weirdo is around. But long story short is, you just take that piece of tape and put that in before you put your bolt on. Make sure your wand is underneath to hopefully catch. And I also like these little Harbor Freight dishes. You can also stick those underneath as well to catch your bolt. But make sure, hold on. When you're doing this, make sure your socket extension is about resting on the radiator. You'll want to go high with it, but you actually want to go down. So there you go. And here we go. There are these two bolts. They're going right here. We're just following the sequence. So put them in, hand tighten them. And by the way, all this stuff, I could not find any kind of torque specs. I even bought that Haynes Chilton mess. Those books are almost worthless. If there's a really important shot, they won't have it. So I'm going to tighten these up. So I'm putting on this piece. This came with a gasket. Nothing is running through this that I can tell, but I just didn't have the part number. So if anybody knows the part number to this thing, let me know. There you go. So the next thing I did was put the cover back on, and when it's situated correctly, you can see there's two holes there, and these are the two 10mm screws I'm going to insert there, and that's the next step. 12mm bolts to go on the upper part of the manifold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the next step. That happens before I put these back here, just to document. Once you tighten these 5 up, what you'll notice is back here everything lines up perfectly. So this will be very easy to put those 2 small bolts in. I had to eat my words a little bit. So when you tighten one of those little bolts wasn't going on as I hoped it would. It was a little bit off. So I just loosened these up a little bit, and that went in no problem. So you want to put these, like, hand tighten them, then insert those, tighten them down, and then crank these to spec. This isn't necessarily in the order sequence, but while I'm here, I'm going to try to clean this throttle body a little bit. Put some cleaner on it and let that absorb and do whatever. You know, while I'm in here, might as well do it. we have 12 210s right here. The 12 goes way down here, and then that's a 10, and then over here there's another 10. So a 10, so you see that 10 right there where my thumb is, 10, 12. Taking the dipstick out because right next to see where this hose goes? There you go. That's what you're looking at. So we got one right there. There you go. So you can see where that hose needs to go, and that's the next step. And that little piece of blue paper is where that bolt, that nut is. I use the paper so it stays on the socket. So that's that one. Then I have these to tighten up too. I got the hose back on and the clamp. One of the things I like to do is I like to use WD-40 and spray on it so that clamp will slide much easier. But one other thing I like to do is, so see how that clamp is positioned that way? I love these pliers. These three, notice they have a double joint to them. They're Craftsman. And I use this. That makes things a ton easier. Okay, so you may have noticed in some of my other videos, I mentioned that this one, to give perspective, this one piece right here with this ridge on the top takes this very small bolt. The reason why is this piece. This funky piece goes on this harness. So see the harness? It goes on like so. So it's going to hold on just like that. Boom. If you look at my manifold video when it was on the cardboard, I have one more bolt in here, down here, that I got to install I forgot about. So I'm going to put some paper towel in the socket to keep it in there, and I'm going to fish it through. Hopefully I can find it. Let me see. There it is, right there. So I need to install that. So here you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What I like to do is I like to start with this one and then go to this one so the gasket doesn't get warped or screwed up or anything, so it's kind of level. And then just hand tighten all 5 of them, and then take my battery powered ratchet and don't tighten it, but just get it almost to the point where it's done, and then hand tighten so it doesn't mess up with that gasket. Then after that I put this on. So the next thing is, there's this one with a blue, and that goes right there. I'm just going to put that on. So that bolt just got tightened down. I put the dipstick back in. Now it's now it's time for the rest of the reassembly over here. I spray the throttle body housing with some cleaner, throttle body cleaner and try to wipe it off. It wasn't particularly dirty, but at least I got that done. So let's see what's next. I made a little mistake. So I forgot to reattach the fuel, and so it's trapped right there. So I'm going to try to see if I can fidget it out. Otherwise I might have to loosen up some bolts or something, so don't forget to do that. I was able to fidget it and get it out, thank God. But there it is. So I'm just going to clamp and put pressure on that blue tab and insert that thing, and that should take care of that. Wow, that was super easy. So the next thing is I need to put that cover over it, which I documented before. So 1 second. Done. So that was super easy to do, just like the reverse of the of earlier in the video. That was no problem at all. One of the things I did was I took out that yellow tape and put on some duck, D-U-C-K tape with a Sharpie to kind of better, I feel like those would do better over time. I didn't have any when I was doing this, so note to self, I basically take the duct tape, cut it, put it in half because you don't need a whole thing, and then just do a strip, labeling it on both sides. So I've got B, B, and that should be on there for many years to come. So there you go. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to assemble the throttle body and put that back on, and then attach all the hoses and all that other stuff. So remember, you have this part. So this bracket is going to go back here. I already have this one on. I put the top screw in. I'm going to put the bottom one down below, down here, right there. So I got all of those in the 12, and don't forget about this little one down here. Remember this from earlier in the video? It goes right there. So I'm going to make sure it's seated. I'm going to tighten it up. Right here. Remember hose F? Hose F goes right here. Boom. The clamp is on there. Done. So if you're all this hoses, remember this blue dot is D. It's going to go right here. The hoses were difficult, so I think I'm going to have to put this air box back in. So remember that we've got that one screw mount right there. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to take some other pictures of it so everybody has an idea. So remember this side goes out here. So here you go. Remember, so I've got this kind of in the right order. So I'm going to have to take this piece and go underneath the brake fluid. Note this piece mounts right here. So let's give it a try. So once you get it on, once you get it positioned in place, it's easy to push the housing on. So there's this funky little bolt here. It goes on like that. I'll tighten it later. And I have another one. And it goes on right down there. So if I have it on straight, those will bolt on. 10 millimeter 10 millimeter on. Down there, 10 millimeter on. Notice the blue towel to help the bolt stay in the socket. So that part is done. We are in actually good shape. The next thing is to tighten these. I believe those are 5.5 millimeter. There we go. So this right here, 5.5 millimeters. There you go. One tip, when you go to install this box back, see this thing with all these tubes and stuff, you want to make sure that that is coming underneath all these wires. It'll make things exponentially easier for you. Gotta be honest with you, I wish I would have documented all of this a little bit better for the hoses. Gee whiz. If you recall earlier, this, which makes a loop around, this is B, so I'm gonna attach that. So I believe it went like this. If you recall, that is D as in David. So I'm going to attach that now. And by the way, just to add, there's a big, there's just so much going on here. This D hose, D as in David, is the same hose as G as in Gregory. It is just hose G and hose D as in David are the same, but I'm just highlighting the connection. So there you go. So what I was saying about hose G and hose D, G is in Gregory and David. So we know, so D as in David, G as in Gregory goes right here. So we got that. We're good with that. And then the other end of it is going to go where I was saying before. So one thing I would suggest is to proactively get some hose clamps, because some of them either I don't have them, lost them, or had one of those stupid little small ones that are like paper clip. So I'd get some of these for these hoses. So we have 6 orifices that need a hose. So the first one is, we'll call this 1, right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So coming out of the housing, you have 2, 1, 2. They're like hard metal hoses, these 2. Then you have on the throttle body, 1 at the top, 1 at the bottom. That's 4. And then you have this big one. And then you have this little one back here. So there's 6 of them. By process of elimination, this hose is so big, that's the only thing that could fit on it. Naturally just bumps up against it. So that's the first one. Hose G is right here. Boom. So D as in David goes right into this one. So G and D are the same hose. I'm going to put a clamp on it, put some WD-40 on it, so we're going smoother, and there you go. Remember that little U hose, B? I'm putting that back on right there. And then the other part of B goes right into, where is it? Can you see it? There it is right there. Other part of B. Remember hose A? Goes right here. Hose A, boom, right on there. I need to tighten this up real quick. So A is on. Now we're gonna go back it's hard to get the electrical connections wrong because, you know, they're all different. So there's that one. B. I gotta figure that out. Hold on. B is right there. And then we have this mysterious one, which connects right down here. Boom. All in. So the last one we have is this one right here. Put this on. Now it's time to do the battery. To get these little blue body panel pieces, just take a screwdriver and go like this. And then reach up behind and get them out. I'm just letting the car run while I'm doing this. It took about 10 seconds for it to turn over, obviously because of the gas, but it appears to be running just fine. I'm going to see if it's going to throw a code or not. So there you go. It looks like so far it looks like it's a success. So I took it for about a 3-mile spin, and it ran just like it always did. So I guess everything's fine. I did notice one thing. When I started it up, it took about 10 seconds for it to actually turn over. Then the mileage was like 0, and then as I started to drive, it went up and up and up. Now, when I brought it in to replace the injectors, I was getting on average 29 miles per gallon. So that was kind of my benchmark. And I know that the miles per gallon thing on the dash isn't the most accurate, but it's just a barometer. It's just me trying to figure out, you know, it shouldn't be that low for this car. So now that I've driven it and it's not throwing codes, it runs like it always did, I'm going to now put all the panels and the wipers on and all that stuff and see if my parts haven't arrived for the thing for the plastic piece, but I'll just wing that. So there you go. So here is the piece I'm putting back in. So I'm gonna, all of these are uniform. So these are, if I'm not mistaken, are a little bit longer. So I'm gonna unscrew these. And I am going to place this where it should be. So just to be clear, you have the 3 bolts that are there for the transmission of the windshield wiper. Don't forget about hooking this bad boy back up. So those 3, you have, now you have, for the other bolts you have 1, you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Math is sometimes hard. 7 of the regular ones and 3 for the transmission. And then after that, we'll install this. So there you go. Little tip on putting this pan back in. Start over here. Lift up the transmission, the windshield wiper transmission. Lift this up, put it under, and make sure that this part of it here goes under this electrical socket. So start in over here and then guide everything else in. So this is a profile of one of the ones that just didn't break, thank God. I did buy off Amazon years ago these like general sets of trim pieces, and it looks like this one might actually work. So I actually want to test drive this car, and I need it to have windshield wipers and all that stuff. So I'm gonna put a couple of these on here and see if I can actually get it all to work. So there you go. Finding putting this stupid plastic crap back on is the biggest challenge I have so far. So notice that this hose, this plastic piece that goes on the front, the smaller piece is over here, and this is where the hose goes in. And you can also see here there's a hole to fit in there or there, some type of a screw. So my little blue tabs finally arrived. This is what they look like, and they're like $2 a pop. So when you see them on websites, and again, I tried to buy the knockoffs, but it takes like 3 weeks for them to get here. So I only got one shot, so I spent $14 on these things. So just to get some perspective, these two holes go right here. Put that on there so it doesn't get lost. Shame on me. And of course, these things go right here, here. So one thing I did notice on this before I flip it is that these first two slide this way. So when I put this thing on, I push that way. These push this way. So so all of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, push this way. And these are the exact, and these two are the exact opposite. So why that matters is that I don't see how you could take this thing off without breaking these two. So when you go to push this thing off, when you go to push this thing off, because you're going to push the thing this way when it's flipped over, it's inevitable that these two are going to break, point blank. So just keep that in mind. The other thing is that this windshield wiper hose is on like so. It goes underneath it. So here's the problem. You can insert this thing. So this has an underflap. Hold on. So this is how it goes. This smaller piece has an underflap. It goes right in like that. So common sense tells you to put this one on first. The problem with that is getting this hose back in, because here's like this little hole that the hose goes to. So you almost have to position this thing in such a way so have the hose positioned here before you put this thing in. The smaller piece needs to go in, but have to have this hose already in, which is attached to this. So it's a little bit tricky, so I'm going to try to do that now. Okay, so passenger side, so it fits in like this. Has two of these tabs that go right here and right here. Okay, so right here, you should be able to see the two blue pieces. This wasn't that hard to put in. So right there. Now notice, the trick is, notice how I've got this big piece hanging right above it. And notice how I have the hose stuck right there. You have enough hose for play. So the hose is already pre-positioned to where it needs to be. So this looks good. But again, had I not positioned this piece above it and the hose, it would have been very hard after I inserted this to feed that hose through. It would have been a huge pain, so make sure you do that. Okay, so I just wanted to show you. So I pushed that side in. Now, if you get up above here in the windshield and look in, you can see, you might not be obvious on the camera, this is a good example. See how each one of these blue things is centered right on the hole. And you go all the way up to this very first one. And then note how that blue one has to go right into that hole right there. I don't know if it's obvious, if you can see it, but there's a, well, it's hard to get the angle, but there it is. You can see the blue one, and right below it is the hole. So what that means is you got to pull this plastic cover towards yourself to make sure that helps, because this hole all the way over to the right, see that hole? It's not rectangular, it's an actual square. So that one has to be dead on. When that blue piece is dead on over that and you push it in, all these other ones are more of a rectangular size hole, and that means it'll work. So there you go. Success. So again, when you are putting this thing on, make sure, first of all, make sure this piece is aligned, over top of this thing. Pull it over so this first blue tab goes into the hole. Then after that, everything else more or less aligns, and you just start pushing down on each one of these, and you can feel them snap. And then I push down a little bit on this. There's some type of little tab that fits over this, and that means that's done. So although they're $2 per clip, so they're expensive, it wasn't that hard if you have the right clips. There you go. Next is this piece. It goes, so here's what the tabs look like. There's a tab here. There's a tab right here and right here. That goes right here and right here. So you just put this bad boy on, slips on, easy, super easy. So next is this piece that goes right here. There's a place where there's supposed to be this little tab that goes in, and these were white. I think you have to put down the windshield wiper to put this in. I don't have anything that fits it, so one of these Amazon universal clips I'm hoping will work for this, so let's see. Okay, that was a huge success. Those little clips actually did work. Cool, I saved myself about 20 bucks. So there's this piece that slides into here. So what I did was I took that piece that I showed you, put it underneath it, tightened it up, and then stuck it in. When that came in, this piece was still sticking out, and I was able to push it up under. So if I had to do it again, I would probably push this first and then put it in. So here we have this one. So I'm going to show you again. This is what this universal clip looks like. I'm going to lower this little part on top so it's barely goes in here. Just 1 second. So see, that's a pretty big gap. So just 1 second. See, now this gap's smaller. I'm going to put it right into here. So it is a little bit looser than I wanted it to be, but there you go. And then I'm going to oops. So I'm going to put it on like this. First of all, I'm going to position, so I'm going to put this up under, and then I'm going to push, hold on. I couldn't do it with two hands, so I put it down here low, put this in first, and then boom, hit it down. These shouldn't break. I looked at the way that little gap is orientated. So if you push up on that, the white clip on these should not break at all. So the next thing I did was put the weather stripping back on. So because of all the electronics over here, I put this right flush. When you look at the weather stripping, there's going to be natural bends and contours. So try to flip it the way that matches the profile of this plastic piece. It'll make your life a lot easier. And then we just have this one little thing left right here. So hold on. Ta-da! It's connected right here. The one thing I wish I would have done with this is I wish I would have I didn't have a permanent marker to do it, and I had to get it done, is mark the position of the windshield wiper blades. It's not the end of the world, but it does make things a little bit easier. So that's one thing I wish I would have done. Okay, so here are your two windshield wiper blades. One is longer, but has a shorter blade. This one, we're gonna put this one on first. There are two. The bigger one that goes on the left is right here. We're gonna do that now. Done. So notice this one has a much shorter blade. Now I should have marked with a marker on the bolt in this black thing where they align, but I do have the dust from where this thing used to rest, so I just used that, and that should hopefully be good enough. Now I'm going to do the other one right now. To put these things back on, it's much easier to have the hood down. So this is what it looks like. Notice this plastic, this comes almost parallel, the blade comes parallel to the plastic, and it conforms to the dust from where it was before. So now I'm going to tighten them up, and this is done. So just to give you some background on this car and what happened, I bought it at 32,000 miles about 2 years ago. So it was an 11-year-old car with 32,000 miles on it. I've put about 20 on it, and all of a sudden one night my daughter's driving it, and it starts to shake, and she pulls over the side of the road. I drive over there, give her my other car, and when I started back up, it appeared to be running fine, and then it didn't take too long, it threw a code, and I'll cite it, but it was basically cylinder 1. So I was shocked at how poor the gas mileage is after I bought it. I was expecting that these cars got like 38, and it was getting like 32. And I thought, it should be getting 38. Well, first of all, 32 is normal. Went to the mechanic and he said, oh yeah, you need new plugs and coils. I was so busy, I could have done it myself, but I just paid him to do it. And I didn't see any change at all. In fact, it started to get slightly worse. Then it went to 29 miles to the gallon. So, and then, 3,000 miles, 5,000 miles later, this happens. He did indeed change the coils and change the plugs. I made sure they were torqued down correctly. I knew about that problem, but it was a misfire on cylinder 1. So I replaced the fuel injectors with Honda genuine injectors, and now it's to 28 miles to the gallon, and it doesn't. It sputters. It still sputters a bit, only when Um, I put it into drive and have the park, and I've got the brake on. So if I'm at a parking lot, or I'm sorry, if I'm at a stoplight and I'm sitting there and I'm in drive and I've got the brake on, it'll sputter, and it also sputters and shimmies a little bit upon acceleration. I can go 80 miles an hour down the interstate, and once I'm at regular, cruising speed, no matter what the speed, it works great. I have no problems with it. So the next thing on the list is the mass airflow sensor and cleaning that. So that's next on my list. So I got to be honest with you, like I always keep really good care of my cars, but you hear people buy Hondas, like a Honda Civic, like a Honda Fit, these classic iconic brands. They barely change the oil, and it lasts 300,000 miles, and you don't do anything to it. I've always done all the scheduled maintenance with the best parts, the best fluids, the best belts, the best filters, blah, 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 blah. And it just seems like there's one problem after another. My Honda Civic only lasted 210,000 miles because a friend was driving it, and it overheated. Must have been a bad thermostat and warped the block. And then this one's super low mileage, and it's just giving me trouble. So I've given up on Honda, and Toyota has always done me right. So there you go.